Hello and welcome to your Saturday morning Chatty Scent Corner, where we talk about what's new, what's coming, and what we really need to have a good chat about. So today we are going to be talking about 10 fragrances in total. I have for you about 6 fragrance updates, fragrances that are about to launch or that have been recently launched. And then I have for you 4 first impressions. 2 of them are Middle Eastern fragrances and the other 2 are Western niche. But these 4 fragrances have been super hyped and have really been rated quite high. There's quite a bit of very, very good reviews for each one of these fragrances. So I'm going to be sharing with you my first impression, and of course I will follow that up in another video with a detailed review. As always, we're going to start with the T or our topic of the week. And this week's topic is really, really interesting. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump right in. If this is your first time here though, I'm Arahi and I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos multiple times a week, and on this channel, we love to talk about all types of fragrances. So if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go, fam. Okay, fam, so it's time for our tea of the week. Let's have this discussion. So this week, I had a moment. It had been such a busy week and kind of stressful, to be honest with you. Like I shared in yesterday's video, it has just been a pretty interesting week. And whenever I get like that, one of the things that really relaxes me a bit and allows me to breathe for a moment and get some new perspective is to go around sniffing fragrances, right? So what else is new? No, but seriously, I just go around and I pick different bottles and I sniff and I just have a moment, and it brings me so much joy. So I did do that this week, but in the process of doing that, I'm always thinking about you. So I was thinking, what could be a good topic for this week? And guess what? I thought, okay, so how about if I ask the fam about the importance of a beautiful bottle? Because I don't know about you, but when I go around and I look at the different bottles, the different designs, some of them are just so beautiful. Others are very simple, streamlined, like minimalist, but those are so elegant. I don't know, I just enjoy different bottle designs. And depending on the scent, I find that like the bottle design for me says something. And especially when I know like what the vision behind the fragrance was and who the perfumer is. Like, for example, have you noticed that like Christian Provenzano fragrances, for the most part, not all of them, but any fragrance that he is behind has a beautifully, beautifully done bottle that always has like crystals on it. And the bottle is really heavy and the cap is really ornamented, exquisitely beautiful. I don't know, so I notice all of those things. But today I have for you 2 questions related to that. The first one is, what is your favorite perfume bottle in your entire collection? Why is that bottle so special to you? What is it about it, right? And then in addition to that, I want to know if you're like me, like does the design of a bottle or the beauty of a bottle really like make you want to pick up the fragrance? Have you ever just picked up a fragrance? You did enjoy the scent, but it wasn't like a deep love, but the bottle convinced you. Has that ever happened to you? So I have done that in the past. I've gotten much better at it, to be honest with you, because with this size of a collection, I just can't be picking up, I can't afford to pick up bottles just because they're beautiful. I really need it to be a combination of a beautiful bottle, a beautifully designed and developed bottle that goes right along with an exquisitely beautiful and alluring scent, which is how I like them. So that is the question of the week. What is your favorite perfume bottle? Not necessarily the scent, no, because I think we've already discussed that in a past Chatty Scent Corner. No, this week it is all about the bottle. And of course, I am not going to ask you those questions and not share with you my favorite perfume bottle. But of course, since I get to ask the question, I think I have special privileges, right? because I just could not pick one bottle. And even just pulling these two was just so hard because there's so many others that really deserve to be brought forth and for me to share them as my favorites. But I have to tell you that one of the perfume bottles that I think is just exquisite in any fragrance from this fragrance house is definitely Flora Coup. And Flora Coup this year launched Gong, and I have already reviewed it here on the channel, but we're not going to talk about the juice. I just want to let you know that one of my favorite perfume bottles in my entire collection comes from any fragrance that Flora Coup launches. I just find their bottles to be exquisitely beautiful. They put so much thought, and what I really love about the bottle is that each fragrance, of course, has a reason, right? There's a vision behind each fragrance that they launch or that they develop, and the bottle seems to go hand in hand with that. But of course, as I said before, I think you'll be okay if I cheat a little bit, and instead of just picking one, I brought two for you because I just couldn't make up my mind between these two. And I hope that my fingerprints are not all over this one. And this one is from the House of Doux. And specifically, this is Agua de Santos. But I have to tell you, any bottle coming out of the House of Doux to me is just a piece of art. That is the case with Flora Coup also, because as I told you, I've learned I need the bottle design to be exquisite and inspiring and beautiful enough for me to display it anywhere in my home, but I also need the juice to really be worthy. And I find that these two fragrance houses for me can do no wrong. So yeah, so I have here the House of Doux, and then of course, as I shared before, Flora Coup. So don't forget to leave your answer in the comment section because I can't wait to hear what are your choices. Please try and pick just one, but if you can't pick one like me, I think it's okay if you pick two or even three. Anyway, moving on. All right, fans, so let's go ahead and start with our updates. The first update that I have for you today is a new one from the House of Oud. Now, you guys may remember that towards the beginning of the year or earlier in the year, I think it was like the beginning of spring, we had a brand new launch from the House of Oud, and that was, if I recall correctly, Le Explicit, and it was that fragrance that has like the note of peanut or peanut butter, and if I recall correctly, some banana. I do own that fragrance. I've already reviewed it here for you on the channel, and I picked it up because it was just so different. I could not resist the temptation. I'm sure that you remember. But now the House of Oud is launching yet another fragrance this year, and the name of this one is Doux Ennui. And look at this bottle. Isn't that lately they have been releasing these bottles that are just so creative, right? Oh, but anyway, so this one is the latest addition to the Crazy collection. Where there's like a whole bunch of other fragrances within that collection that have bottles that are this picturesque and different, right? But this one, listen to the notes of this one. At the top, we have mandarin orange, apricot marmalade, and ylang ylang. In the mid, we have peach, salted butter, and more ylang ylang. And then at the base, we have osmanthus, vanilla, benzoin, amber, and musk. Now, that fragrance sounds really, really tempting to me. I don't think I'm going to blind buy it, but I am pretty sure that I am at least going to, try and get a sample or a decant to try it on skin, because that apricot marmalade, oh, that sounds really, really delicious, doesn't it? I don't think that this is going to be necessarily a gourmand. It may have gourmand touches to it because it does have salted butter and it does have that marmalade note, and then it has vanilla. But then it has osmanthus and, other notes that really don't speak to gourmand, at least not to me. But this sounds really, really different and interesting. And I can't recall a fragrance that I've ever tried or that I have in my collection that has that combination of notes. Had you heard about this fragrance? First of all, since we've been speaking about bottle designs today, what do you think of this bottle? Do you think it's a bit much? Do you think it's cool? Do you think it's really nice? What do you think about it? I think that it's a really nice bottle, but I'm not sure that I'm really in love with it. They have others in their collection that I prefer much more, but this one, to me is just very interesting. But it's not like I'm madly in love with the bottle design to begin with. But the notes of the fragrance itself are really pulling me. But in any event, you can expect to hear me talk about this fragrance at some point, whether it's from a sample or a decant, or because I picked up the bottle because I found a great deal, because I'm not blind buying. I am not doing it. I mean, there's just too many fragrance releases. If we keep blind buying, I mean, we would have to be really, really out there insane to continue to do that at the rate that fragrances are being launched. So even though I do want to review as many fragrances for you as possible, I mean, I'm being very selective, and I'm just bringing you the ones that I think I may really end up bringing to the channel, whether it's via a sample or a full bottle. Let me know what you think about all that. Before we continue, I did want to remind you that some of the information that I share with you today may be coming from Scent Advice, and I'm going to go ahead and share her website as always right here, and I'll be sure to include it in the description box, okay? So the next fragrance that I want to share with you is from Fugazzi, and they have been very busy this year because they have launched a couple of other fragrances, but there's one that I have not been able to find a sample or a decant, and I really want to try it because I think that I would be very interested in it, and it's called, I think, Passion Fruit. And, it has the note of passion fruit, and you know how I am about passion fruit. So I really want to see, have you tried that fragrance? I think it's called Passion Fruit. But anyway, so this new one, it's called Matchabuya. Matchabuya. And yeah, it's just a very nice bottle that does speak to matcha, right? And there's not much info about it out there yet, but what I can tell you is that the perfumer is Julian Raskinet, so imagine. So the notes of this one are matcha, bergamot, yuzu, white tea, green pepper, moss, and sandalwood. And those notes alone have made me so curious. This is definitely not one that I would blind buy because I don't think it's going to be a safe blind buy based on those notes. But the fact that there's white tea and green pepper has me really curious and interested as to how that's all going to work. And then of course you have yuzu, which I absolutely love yuzu. So expect to see that at some point here on the channel. All right, so every week I say the same thing. I tell you, well, guess what? We have another fragrance from Born to Stand Out, because we do. Every week for the last, I would say, couple of months, I've been sharing with you a new Born to Stand Out fragrance. They have launched quite the number of fragrances, okay? And they have launched like 3 that I was made aware of this past week, but I'm only going to speak about one today, but there's a couple of others that I may probably share with you, during next week's Chatty Scent Corner. But for this week, let's talk about Dirty Milk. So this one at the top has the notes of milk, black pepper, and caramel. At the heart, it has condensed milk, yummy. Ooh, condensed milk, iris, which you know that I love, akigala wood, and cashmerean. And at the base, it has tonka bean, vanilla, and musk. I don't know, but that's got to be one of the first Born to Stand Out fragrances that I read the notes without having sniffed the fragrance. And I don't think it's going to be a blind, a safe blind buy, but I really think it's very interesting, and it is definitely one that I want to get my nose on, because when you say condensed milk to me, and then you combine it with caramel and then the iris, I can see that. Now, I am a little bit concerned about the akigala wood and the cashmerean, but I think that that's going to be a lovely fragrance. I just have the strong feeling that this one is going to be a really special one. And it's already available. I will link it for you in the description box, and I also have a discount code for you. And the link that I'm going to leave for you is also to a retailer where, if I recall correctly, you can get samples and decants so that you don't blind buy, because no, we're not doing blind buying on these fragrances. Now, this next update that I have for you, now this one, okay, this is from one of my favorite fragrance houses, which is Atelier d'Or, and now they have Novae Vanilla. So this is a vanilla-centric fragrance, and the perfumer is Marie Salomon. And at the top, it has mineral notes. At the heart, it has mimosa and blue vanilla. And at the base, it has bourbon vanilla, vanilla infusion, amber woods, and musk. I don't know, but that fragrance is calling my name. First of all, I love the DNA of Atelier d'Ors. I love their fragrances. I own like 7 or 8. But this one, this vanilla-centric one, Oh no, I think that this is going to be a blind buy. You know how in every Chatty Scent Corner, there's at least one bottle that I tell you I'm going to need forgiveness and grace because that's probably going to be a blind buy for me? Well, this is the fragrance in today's Chatty Scent Corner because, I mean, blue vanilla, bourbon vanilla, vanilla infusion. I mean, come on. And then mimosa, I think that that's going to be a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. But listen to what they have to say about this fragrance. Nova Vanilla explores the contrast between light and dark, between opacity and brightness, silence and vibration, where each note finds its place in a harmony similar to that of the golden ratio. That is what Marie Salman, who's a perfumer, has to say about this fragrance. Now, this fragrance is not available yet, but as soon as it becomes available, I will be picking it up and I will be letting you know, definitely via a community post. Had you heard about this one? Are you interested in this one? I mean, this is all about the vanilla, but are there any notes that are making you a little bit nervous in this fragrance? Do you like any of their fragrances? Do you own any? If so, which one is your favorite from Atelier d'Ors? The next fragrance that I have for you is a fragrance from Alexandre J. Now, it's been a while since I have tried an Alexandre J fragrance. I owned one bottle of Alexandre J, and I ended up gifting it to a friend because I was not a fan of it. I don't even remember the name. It came like in a red bottle, and it was a beautiful bottle, but I decided to just, find it a new home because I was not pulling it. Every time I sniffed it, I was just not feeling it. It wasn't making me happy, so I had to move on. But maybe this one is called Sweet Enigma. And guess why I really want to try it? Because this is supposed to be a strawberry-centric fragrance. Strawberry at the top. Now listen, because these notes are incredible. At the heart, it has pistachio, tonka bean, and vanilla. And at the base, it has sesame, benzoin, and modern woods. And it is now available at Harrods. And I've been so tempted to snatch it, but I'm trying to wait a little bit to see if some retailer has samples or decants because it is very, very pricey and I don't want to take the risk of not enjoying it. But the fact that it has that strawberry, you know me and my pursuit for the perfect strawberry fragrance. And Alexandre J fragrances have a pretty complex olfactory journey in my experience, but they are exquisitely done blends. And I mean, come on, look at this bottle. Like the bottle alone makes you want to pick up the fragrance, but I'm not going to pick it up just because of the bottle, okay? I'm really interested because these notes are really pulling me in. Had you heard about this fragrance? How do those notes sound to you? I mean, strawberry, pistachio, tonka bean, vanilla. The only one that I question that I don't know how that would go well in that mix is sesame. But hey, it's just little old me. I'm sure that they have worked it out. Anyway, I'm going to try and get myself a sample. If I do, I will bring it to a Chatty Scent Corner and share my thoughts with you. If not, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to blind buy this one. Anyway, let us know if you've tried any of the Alexandre J fragrances. If you have, which one is your favorite, and what is it that you love about his fragrances? Anyway, moving on. So the next update is from a designer fragrance house, and this one is Balenciaga. Now, Balenciaga, now in September of 2025, is resuming their fragrance house activities, to call it something. And for that, they are launching 10 new fragrances. And the collection is called Le Dit. Okay, and it has 10 fragrances and they're all coming in like the original packaging or the original bottle of back to 1947. You know, the bottle that the Balenciaga fragrances used to come in back in 1947. But the bottle is absolutely exquisite. See, this is what I mean by modern, sleek, streamlined, bordering on minimalist. I really do like that bottle. But anyway, there's 10 fragrances that are being launched. I am going to give you more detail next week because I just found out about this right before I was starting to film. And I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned it for you in case you are, a Balenciaga fragrances fan. I haven't had a Balenciaga fragrance in my collection for quite a long while, but I'm very interested. I hope that they have like a discovery set If they do, I am picking it up and I will bring it to the channel and share with you my thoughts. But I'm very excited, but I'm not blind buying any of these fragrances. If I recall correctly, I heard somewhere or read somewhere that they may be retailing for like 270 each or something like that. But regardless, I really prefer to get a discovery set because there's 10 fragrances in this collection. So I prefer to just try them first. Anyway, had you heard about these fragrances? Are you a Balenciaga fragrances lover? Have you had any of their fragrances? If so, which one? I mean, just let us know anything that you know about Balenciaga fragrances. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our first impressions. And I am going to start with a fragrance that is coming from a fragrance house that I absolutely love. And this one was just sent to me. This was launched, I think this was launched during the spring, if I recall correctly. I may be totally wrong. But anyway, I'm talking about Saffron Secret from Maison Crivelli. And as I said before, this fragrance was just sent to me. And I did already sniff it. I did try it on skin one day already. I'm not going to give you a review today. This is truly like a first impression, just to let you know what my initial thoughts of this fragrance are. And of course, you can expect a detailed review very soon. So this is the card that came in the box with the fragrance. And I'm just going to spray it here because I do, ooh, look at that sprayer. I do really like, okay, I don't know if you are a fan of Maison Crivelli, but I am. I absolutely love Maison Crivelli fragrances. And the one thing I will say is that, at least on my skin and to my nose, all of the fragrances of Maison Crivelli are truly unisex. Do they lean a tad to the masculine side at times? Most may say that they do, but for me, they are perfectly unisex because I love a unisex fragrance. I absolutely do. To me, none of these fragrances lean to the feminine side though, at all whatsoever. And all of the fragrances of this fragrance house are powerhouses. They are bold, unapologetic in being intense. So let me tell you, the notes here are at the top spices, at the heart saffron, and at the base blonde woods. But to me, this is a saffron bomb. If you are not into the note of saffron, please stay away from this fragrance because you will not even make it through the opening of the fragrance. But at that, the scent is absolutely exquisite. I am not going to give you any more details because I am so ready to talk about this fragrance. So expect to see a detailed review very, very soon here on the channel. But just know that if you are a Maison Crivelli fan, you have to at least get your nose on this fragrance because you are really going to fall in love with this one. When I do the review of this fragrance, I may do like a dedicated review. And if I do, then I am also going to rank for you all of my Maison Crivelli fragrances so that you see how special this one is, because this is like saffron perfection. If you, again, are a saffron lover, this is a must. This is definitely a must. And if you are a fan of Maison Crivelli fragrances, you really need to get your nose on this one. Anyway, I am moving on. All right. This next fragrance is a Middle Eastern fragrance. Now, you guys know, if you've been with me for a while, that every time I'm about to talk about a Middle Eastern fragrance, especially here during our Chatty Scent Corner, and I get like this, it's because I feel that what I'm about to tell you is going to be wow, right? Well, wow, it is. So let's talk about the latest from Paris Corner, and this one is Doux. Now, this fragrance was sent to me. Let me go ahead and share with you the notes before I start telling you. This is not a review. This is a first impression, but I've already started to work heavy on this fragrance and I already have so much to say, but let me share with you the notes. So at the top, we have buttermilk and black pepper. At the heart, we have vanilla, cake, and whipped cream. And at the base, we have amber and musk. I am not going to get into the olfactory journey, but here is the one thing that I do need you to know about this fragrance. Immediately when I received it, as always, I went, outside of my home and I sprayed it 10 times. As soon as I sprayed it, I think it was around the third or fourth time that I sprayed it, and that mist started to be around me and just engulf me in the scent of the fragrance itself. Immediately, what came to mind, what it reminded me of terribly, tremendously, is this fragrance. That is all I'm going to say right now, okay? This is definitely a gourmand. Now, if you saw my review of that fragrance that it's reminding me of, which is the Cirque du Soleil Perfume, you may recall that I told you that for me, that fragrance, the scent of Cirque du Soleil, is truly like the scent of an incredible day at the fair where you decided to live your best life and eat all that you wanted to eat. So here's what you did. You got to the fair and you decided that you were going to have yourself some like caramelized popcorn or heavy buttered popcorn. Then you decided that you were going to get yourself a caramelized apple, you know, like a caramel covered apple, just really decadent. And then you decided that you were going to have some cotton candy. And then you added to that the fact that you wanted to have a sundae loaded with all types of toppings, strawberry, chocolate, you name it. You took all of that, okay, and you went and you sat down somewhere on a bench somewhere at the fair and you started to eat all this food. The scent that you get in that moment where you're having all of those desserts. Oh, wait, I forgot. In addition to all that, you also got yourself, of course, some funnel cake. Like, why would you go to the fair and not have funnel cake if you're living your best life? Funnel cake is at the top of the list, and with all of the toppings possible. Well, all of that, you're sitting at your bench somewhere in the fair. Nobody's bothering you. The kids have run off. Your husband or your partner is taking care of them, and you are just living your best life, eating all those yummy treats. That is what I get from Cirque du Soleil. Well, that is what this reminds me of. That same experience at the fair. That very same experience. But anyway, the review of this fragrance is coming very, very soon to Middle Eastern Thursday. Expect to see it soon. But I just wanted to let you know. And this one I think is already available. Any of the fragrances that I've shared with you today, if I find them and I have a discount code, I will leave a link for you. But just know that, yeah, definitely. Anyway, moving on. All right, so the next fragrance that I have for you is a Western niche fragrance. And this, this launch is very, very special, okay? And I will have a dedicated review for this fragrance very soon. Let's talk about it. I am talking about vanilla powder, but the extrait. And here is the gorgeous, very nice, very simple, but very elegant, very streamlined kind of bottle. Very heavy, feels very luxurious, but we'll talk more about it during the official review. I just wanted to share with you today. Let me share with you the notes. So it has vanilla, tonka bean, coconut powder, palo santo, and white musk. So basically, it has the same notes as the original, right? The Eau de Parfum. This is the Eau de Parfum. This is the extrait. I absolutely love this fragrance. Now, you guys know I've told you time and time again that whenever you see me here with a fragrance with a dent, that's like a miracle, because do you really know what it takes for me to have a dent in any fragrance, right? Okay, this fragrance is a smoother version of this one. That's really what it is. It has smoothed out any of the quirks that some of you did not appreciate or enjoy in this one. This one has smoothed them all out. That is all that I'm going to say today, because I don't want to ruin the review. And I am so ready to have a serious conversation about these two fragrances. But I am telling you, this is the smoother version. So if you had anything that really annoyed you about the original, the Eau de Parfum, you really need to try this one, okay? No, this is not a safe blind buy unless you already know the DNA of this fragrance. If you love the original, then you really could blind buy this one, in my opinion. This one was sent to me, by the way, but I was ready to pick it up. You know, I really was, because this fragrance is absolutely incredible. Anyway, moving on. All right, so the last fragrance that I'm going to discuss with you today is another Middle Eastern fragrance. And I just told you a couple minutes ago that when I get like this, when I'm about to talk about a Middle Eastern fragrance, if you've been with me for a while, you already know this is going to be a wow moment. And this is going to be a wow moment. So let's talk about French Avenue Veneno Scarlet. Now, here is the bottle. I know many of you do not appreciate that snake motif. I understand the bottle is exquisitely beautiful. Maybe you can just have this removed. I'm not going to give you a review of this fragrance today. I'm just here to tell you what I have to tell you really quick. Before anything, you do know that I've already reviewed all of the other fragrances that are a part of this collection. I own them. I did receive this one in PR also, but I own all the other fragrances. I've already reviewed them for you. To date, I think that of all of them, my favorite is pretty much Veneno Blanco Bianco, which is the one that reminds me tremendously of By Kilian's Sun-Kissed Goddess. But this one may be taking its place. Let's talk about this fragrance really quick because this is not a review. So here are the notes. At the top, we have strawberry, blackberry, and caramel. At the heart, we have raspberry, cedar, and cinnamon. And at the base, we have leather, caramel, vanilla, patchouli, fir, and tonka bean. Now, I don't know how much once you use a fragrance, I don't know if you're one of those fam members like me, that we just tend to retain the notes because the experience allows us to pick up on some of the notes. Most of the time you can't pick up on most of the notes once you approach or once you reach the dry down and you're wearing the fragrance. But if you test the fragrance and you try to put yourself in that olfactory journey, you're going to pick up some of the notes at least. But here's what I have to say about this fragrance. This fragrance, when I received it and I sprayed it out, it did not immediately remind me of anything when I sprayed it out, but I stepped outside of the home, sprayed it out, came back in, put it away, and I had to step out. So I was going outside. And when I stepped out, the scent in the air outside in front of my front door reminded me immediately of this fragrance. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is Venom Incarnate from Stefan Humbert Lucas. This fragrance reminds me tremendously of that fragrance. Have you tried this fragrance? Have you also tried Venom Incarnate? Do you see that? Do you get that same vibe? Does it remind you of it? Just a very, very strong reminder. But anyway, I will have a detailed review of this fragrance very soon, but I did want to share that with you because, wow, that's all I'm going to say. I'm moving on. All right, fam. So we have reached the end of today's Chatty Scent Corner, and I just wanted to make it a quick one because we are still having those incredible summer days, and we just all need to get out there and have a good time and enjoy some good, warm sunlight and just enjoy our family and friends. As I tell you every Saturday, I don't just want you to have an incredibly awesome Saturday. I want you to have an incredibly joyous and blessed entire weekend. Thank you so much for hanging with me as always, sending you much love and blessings. I will see you in the next video.